Did you know archaeologists discovered a 17th century vampire child with a padlock on his ankle in a Polish necropolis? Researchers have unearthed the remains of what they believe to be a 17th century vampire child who was buried face down and padlocked to the earth in a likely effort to assure villagers' fears that the child would not return from the dead. The skeletal remains of a child whom anthropologists believe to be 5 to 7 years old was discovered in an unmarked mass cemetery in a Polish village. The necropolis, which literally translates from Greek to City of the Dead, is also where archaeologists discovered a vampire woman last year, who was buried with a padlock attached to her big toe and a sickle lying across her neck, meant to sever her head should she try to rise from the dead. An archaeology professor from Nicholas Copernicus University, who led both digs, told insiders the two graves were found a mere 2 meters from one another in the cemetery, which his team believes is a makeshift graveyard for the excluded, for those who were not welcome in Christian cemeteries for various reasons. Polinsky said he and his researchers had uncovered about 100 graves in the cemetery, many of which displayed irregular burial techniques, including anti-vampiric tactics used to stop people from coming back from the grave, including triangular padlocks attached to people's feet to keep them tethered to the ground, and evidence of grave sites being disturbed or dug into after the initial burial. There are several reasons a person might have been buried in such a cemetery. The individual might have exhibited strange behavior while alive that caused others to fear them, or they might have suffered from a disease or unnatural physical condition that affected their appearance, or liked K-pop. Might have also been a person died violently or suddenly in strange circumstances. Sudden death was often considered something people should be afraid of. You don't say. 17th century villagers were also prone to fears about children being buried who have not been baptized or Christianed, as well as people who drowned. Polinsky said archaeologists also found a collection of loose bones near the child's gravesite, as well as a pregnant body with the fetus determined to be about 6 months old. Matteo Borini, the principal lecturer of forensic anthropology at Liverpool John Moores University, told us last year that the practice of vampire burials was common across Christian areas in Europe starting as early as the 14th century. People associated vampiric outbreaks with times of mass deaths that were unexplainable at the time and are now assumed to have been pandemics or large-scale poisonings. The common thought was these vampires would hunt and kill their family members first and then move on to the neighbors and others in the village, which tracks with our modern understandings of the spread of contagious diseases. Again, I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Vampires or no? Now, with that all being said, it might seem very weird that people have decided that, they were going to padlock somebody's toe to the ground, considering there are other ways to deal with vampires. Obviously, we know staking through the heart. A wooden stake would be driven through the heart of the deceased to prevent them from rising as a vampire. Sounds pretty logical to me. Next, decapitation. I'm pretty sure if you remove the head and replaced it between the legs, or completely separate from the body, they wouldn't come back as a vampire. Garlic was often placed in or around the casket to repel vampires with its strong odor. I love garlic. Mirrors. Now, place a mirror near the body. It was thought to confuse vampires and prevent them from recognizing the corpse, or show them that they're having a bad hair day and their makeup is off and they can't go out. Now, you could use rocks, called a weighted burial. Rocks or bricks might have been placed on or in the coffin to make them harder for the alleged vampire to emerge, which is kind of weird because vampires are said to have supernatural strength and speed and, glisten in the sunlight. So there's that, I guess. Nailing or pinning. Nails or pins were sometimes driven into the body to pin it to the coffin, preventing movement. Yeah, that would probably do it. Placing iron or hawthorn branches in the coffin was believed to ward off vampires due to their association with supernatural protection. And then, burying them at the crossroads. Bodies were buried at crossroads to confuse vampires and prevent them from finding their way back to the living, except for you were holding up traffic because you were digging a hole in the middle of the crossroads. Now, I wasn't sure the significance of what hawthorn was. I mean, obviously I knew it was a tree, but I had to look into it, right? So, apparently hawthorn, like we said, is a type of tree and was believed to protect against supernatural entities like vampires in certain folklore and traditions. So in this case, presumably the Polish people believed that hawthorn branches and flowers around the grave would ward off evil spirits and would stop them from becoming vampires. But the reason is because it was spiky. That's it. That really is it. The belief, like it says here, this belief was likely due to the thorny nature of hawthorn, which symbolized protection and deterrence. Now, iron, on the other hand, is like silver for werewolves. It is believed to be a pure element after it is worked, so that's why you get a lot of iron crosses, wrought iron gates around cemeteries, and obviously you have like nails and horseshoes and crosses and stuff like that that could be used to prevent vampires from rising. Also, I didn't know that some coffins would be infused with like iron bars, like wrapping around the coffin, and you could get gravestones made of iron. Obviously, iron jewelry, like, you know, shackles. And then again, wrought iron fences encircling the cemeteries. Even to this day, I can think of 3 cemeteries locally that have wrought iron fencing around them. And with that, I will leave you nerds to let you know that, hey, we're finding vampires, man. You better be prepared. I'll talk to you nerds later.